shadowy woods, there was a legend whispered among the locals, a tale of a malevolent force that emerged every generation, inspired by the dark deeds of a notorious criminal from the past. Ed Gein, a name long forgotten by most, had become a macabre source of inspiration for a new terror that lurked in the heart of Ashenville. The town had always been peculiar, with its eerie mist that hung low in the air, casting an otherworldly glow upon the decaying Victorian houses and cobblestone streets. Every inhabitant knew the stories of Ed Gein, but none suspected that his spirit had found a new vessel, a wicked force that emerged to relive the horrors of the past. Ashenville was home to the Carter family, who had lived in the same mansion for generations. As the legend foretold, every 100 years, a malevolent entity would possess a member of the Carter bloodline, unleashing a reign of terror upon the town. The time had come again, and young Samuel Carter found himself inexplicably drawn to the macabre tales of Ed Gein. Samuel, a reserved and introverted man, was an amateur historian fascinated by the dark corners of Ashenville's history. Little did he know that his obsession with Ed Gein would awaken an ancient evil that had slumbered for a century. Late one stormy night, Samuel stumbled upon a hidden chamber in the depths of the Carter mansion, filled with dusty tomes and occult artifacts. Among the relics, he discovered a sinister mask adorned with the features of Ed Gein. As Samuel donned the malevolent mask, an unholy transformation overcame him. The once docile historian became a vessel for the twisted spirit of Ed Gein. The town of Ashenville fell into darkness as Samuel, now possessed, began to reenact the infamous crimes of his sinister predecessor. Gruesome displays of human remains adorned the decaying mansion, reminiscent of Ed Gein's gruesome trophies. Panic and fear spread like wildfire through Ashenville as the once sleepy town became a hunting ground for the possessed Samuel. Shadows whispered in the night, and the mist thickened, concealing the horrors that lurked in every corner. The townspeople, gripped by terror, rallied together to unravel the dark secret behind Samuel's transformation. As they delved into the haunted history of Ashenville, they uncovered ancient rituals and cursed artifacts that bound the spirit of Ed Gein to the town. The key to saving Ashenville lay in confronting the malevolent force that gripped Samuel's soul. The final showdown unfolded within the depths of the Carter mansion, where the veil between the living and the dead was at its thinnest. The possessed Samuel, fueled by the dark power of Ed Gein, unleashed a torrent of horrors upon those who dared to challenge him. In a climactic battle of wills, the townspeople, armed with arcane knowledge and ancient artifacts, confronted Samuel in a desperate bid to exorcise the malevolent spirit. As the battle raged on, the mansion itself seemed to come alive, twisting and contorting in response to the supernatural struggle. In a burst of blinding light and deafening ethereal screams, the spirit of Ed Gein was torn from Samuel's body. The mansion crumbled, its cursed foundations shattered by the release of the ancient evil that had plagued Ashenville for generations. The mist lifted, and the town was freed from the grip of darkness. As the sun rose over Ashenville, the townspeople surveyed the wreckage of the mansion, vowing to bury the memories of Ed Gein and the malevolent force that had terrorized their town. The legend of Ashenville would live on, a cautionary tale passed down through generations, reminding the inhabitants to beware the shadows that lurked within the haunted woods. In the aftermath of the supernatural struggle, Ashenville began the slow process of healing. The townspeople, scarred by the recent horrors, worked together to rebuild their lives and erase the lingering shadows that clung to their once tranquil town. Samuel Carter, freed from the grip of the malevolent spirit, woke up in the wreckage of the mansion, disoriented and haunted by the memories of the atrocities he unwittingly committed. The townspeople, torn between sympathy and fear, cautiously approached him. Samuel, now aware of the darkness that dwelled within him, decided to isolate himself to protect those he cared about. The remaining Carter family members, burdened by the weight of their ancestry, took it upon themselves to cleanse their bloodline of the ancient curse. They delved into the forbidden histories of their ancestors, seeking to understand the origins of the malevolent force that had plagued Ashenville for centuries. As the months passed, a sense of normalcy returned to Ashenville, but the scars of the past were not easily forgotten. The Victorian houses were repaired, the cobblestone streets restored, yet an air of caution lingered. The mist that once shrouded the town had lifted, revealing a new clarity but also exposing the vulnerabilities that lay beneath the surface. The townspeople, now united by their shared ordeal, formed a tight-knit community. They established safeguards against the resurgence of dark forces, implementing rituals and protections passed down through the generations. Ashenville became a place where the boundaries between the living and the dead were respected, and the townspeople grew more attuned to the mystical energies that permeated their surroundings. In the midst of the healing process, a stranger arrived in Ashenville. A scholar and occultist by the name of Evelyn Blackthorn sought the truth behind the town's dark legends. Intrigued by the tales of Ed Gein and the recent supernatural events, Evelyn delved into the town's archives and interviewed its inhabitants. As Evelyn uncovered the mysteries of Ashenville, she discovered that the malevolent force was not solely confined to the Carter mansion. Instead, it was a manifestation of the town's collective history, a curse rooted in ancient rituals and unresolved traumas. Determined to break the cycle once and for all, Evelyn joined forces with the townspeople. Together, they embarked on a quest to purify Ashenville of its dark past. Guided by Evelyn's knowledge and the townspeople's newfound awareness, they uncovered hidden artifacts, performed cleansing rituals, and confronted lingering spirits. The journey was arduous, testing the limits of their courage and unity. In the heart of the haunted woods, where the malevolent force had first taken root, they erected a sacred monument to honor the memories of those who had suffered. As the final incantations echoed through the trees, a profound sense of peace settled upon Ashenville. The mist returned, but this time it carried a soothing embrace rather than a shroud of fear. The legend of Ashenville transformed from a tale of terror to a testament of resilience. The townspeople, bound by the shared struggle against darkness, embraced their history while actively shaping a brighter future. As the years passed, the story of Ashenville became a cautionary tale not only about the dangers of the past but also about the strength that could emerge from facing and overcoming the shadows within. The tranquility that now enveloped Ashenville was almost surreal, a stark contrast to the horrors it had endured in the not-so-distant past. Generations had passed since the final showdown in the Carter mansion, and the town had become a haven of peace and prosperity. Yet, beneath the surface, a latent unease lingered, an awareness that the supernatural forces that once plagued Ashenville were not entirely vanquished. The descendants of the original townspeople thrived in this new era. The Carter family, whose mansion had been transformed into a museum of Ashenville's history, continued to play a pivotal role in safeguarding the town. Samuel, having mastered the control of the mystical energies that once possessed him, became an elder statesman, revered for his wisdom and strength. Evelyn Blackthorn, the outsider-turned-guardian, remained an integral part of Ashenville. Her knowledge of the occult and her unwavering commitment to the town made her a revered figure. She had established a center for mystical studies, where young individuals with an affinity for the supernatural could be trained to protect Ashenville and uphold its newfound peace. As the years passed, the town developed a unique identity, blending modernity with the ancient mysticism that defined its history. The mist that hung over the woods became a symbol of unity, a reminder of the town's triumph over darkness. Yet, every 100 years, as the anniversary of the final showdown approached, a subtle tension permeated the air, heightening the awareness of the townspeople to the supernatural forces that surrounded them. The year of the centennial had arrived, casting a shadow over the town. The descendants of those who had once faced the malevolent spirit of Ed Gein felt a sense of foreboding, as if an invisible thread connected them to the past. Whispers of the ancient curse resurfaced, carried by the wind that rustled through the leaves of the haunted woods. Samuel, now an elder with graying hair and a weathered face, sensed the shifting energies. He gathered the leaders of the community, including Evelyn, to discuss the ominous signs that hinted at the resurgence of a malevolent force. In the dimly lit room, adorned with artifacts from Ashenville's past, they deliberated the best course of action. Evelyn, her eyes filled with a mixture of concern and determination, spoke first. "The spirits of the past are stirring. We cannot ignore the signs. We must delve into the history of Ashenville once again, seeking any clues or rituals that might indicate the return of the ancient curse. The group agreed, and together they began to pore over the tomes and ancient texts stored in Evelyn's Mystical Study Center. As the pages turned and incantations were recited, they uncovered a forgotten ritual, an ancient ceremony designed to contain the malevolent force within a vessel. This vessel, once prepared, would absorb the dark energies and prevent them from spreading throughout the town. The ritual required the collaboration of individuals with a deep connection to the supernatural forces that surrounded Ashenville. Samuel, Evelyn, and a select few with inherited mystical abilities would need to perform the ceremony. The ritual, however, had to be executed on the night of the centennial, when the boundary between the living and the dead was at its thinnest. As preparations for the ritual began, the townspeople grew increasingly uneasy. The atmosphere in Ashenville became charged with anticipation, a collective awareness that the town's fate hung in the balance. The mist, once a comforting presence, now seemed to whisper warnings to those who ventured into the woods. The night of the centennial arrived, casting a shadow over Ashenville as the moon bathed the town in an eerie glow. The chosen individuals gathered in the Carter Mansion, the very place where the malevolent force had been vanquished a century ago. The air crackled with mystical energy as they prepared for the ritual that would bind the ancient curse once more. Within the mansion's walls, the group adorned themselves with ceremonial robes and gathered around a mystical circle inscribed on the floor. Evelyn, holding an ancient grimoire, led the incantations, her words resonating with the power of centuries-old knowledge. Samuel, his eyes reflecting the weight of his responsibility, stood at the center of the circle, ready to confront the malevolent force that had once possessed him. As the incantations reached a crescendo, a cold wind swept through the mansion. Shadows danced along the walls, and the air became charged with an otherworldly presence. The group continued the ritual, their voices unwavering, their minds focused on the task at hand. In the midst of the ceremony, a spectral figure materialized, a twisted manifestation of Ed Gein's malevolence. The entity taunted them with whispers of the past, aiming to break their concentration and unleash chaos once more. The room seemed to warp and twist, the very fabric of reality strained by the supernatural struggle. Evelyn, her voice unwavering, countered the taunts with incantations of protection. The group held steadfast, drawing upon the strength of their collective will to resist the malevolent force. Samuel, at the epicenter of the mystical circle, felt the dark energies swirling around him, testing the limits of his control. In a climactic moment, as the malevolent force reached its zenith, the group unleashed the final incantation. A blinding light enveloped the room, and the spectral figure convulsed in agony. The ancient curse, bound by the collective will of the townspeople, retreated into the vessel prepared for it, a sacred artifact forged from the remnants of the malevolent mask that had once possessed Samuel. The mansion, now still and silent, seemed to sigh with relief as the ritual concluded. The townspeople, weary but victorious, surveyed the room. The vessel containing the malevolent force glowed with an otherworldly light, sealed and contained once more. As dawn broke over Ashenville, the mist that had lingered in the woods began to dissipate. The town, now bathed in the soft light of morning, stood as a testament to the resilience of its inhabitants. The ancient curse, once a looming threat, had been quelled by the strength of unity and the wisdom gained from confronting the shadows within. The townspeople, having faced the malevolent force head-on, emerged with a newfound sense of purpose. Ashenville became a beacon of hope, a town that had not only overcome its haunted history but had actively shaped its destiny. The legend of Ashenville, no longer a tale of terror, transformed into an epic saga of triumph over darkness. Samuel, now an elder statesman with a gaze that held both the weight of the past and the hope for the future, addressed the community. We have proven that the bonds of unity and the strength of our collective will can overcome even the darkest of forces. Let this be a reminder to future generations that the true power of Ashenville lies not in the shadows that once haunted us but in the light we forged together. And so, as life returned to normal in Ashenville, The mist became a gentle presence once more, a symbol not of fear but of the interconnectedness of the town with the mystical forces that surrounded it. The tale of Ashenville, now embellished with a new chapter of triumph, continued to be passed down through the generations, a story of a community that had faced the malevolent forces of its past and emerged stronger, wiser, and united in the face of the unknown. Decades passed since the town of Ashenville successfully thwarted the resurgence of the malevolent force that had haunted it for generations. The rituals and protections implemented by the townspeople, guided by the wisdom of Samuel and Evelyn, had proven effective in maintaining the delicate balance between the living and the supernatural. The once young scholars trained in Evelyn's Mystical Studies Center had grown into formidable guardians of Ashenville's mystic legacy. The center had expanded into a renowned institution attracting seekers of arcane knowledge from distant places. The town had become a hub for those who wished to understand the delicate harmony between the mundane and the mystical, drawn by the tales of Ashenville's triumph over ancient curses. Evelyn, having spent a lifetime dedicated to the town's well-being, had become a venerable figure in Ashenville. Her hair had turned silver, and her eyes sparkled with the depth of a lifetime's experiences. Samuel, now long retired from active duty, spent his days mentoring the new generation of mystical guardians and sharing the lessons he had learned during his tumultuous youth. The descendants of the original townspeople lived in a harmonious coexistence with the supernatural. The mist that once concealed malevolent forces became a symbol of the town's resilience, swirling gently through the woods and cobblestone streets. Ashenville was a living testament to the triumph of unity, an embodiment of the adage that those who do not learn from history are doomed to repeat it. However, as the centennial approached once again, a subtle tension settled over the town. The rituals and protections had become ingrained in the fabric of Ashenville's existence, but the memory of the malevolent force lingered in the collective consciousness. The descendants of the original guardians were acutely aware that the delicate equilibrium could be disrupted, and the shadows of the past could stir once more. In the midst of this unease, a new visitor arrived in Ashenville. Emily Hartfield, a young historian with a penchant for unraveling the mysteries of small towns, had heard whispers of Ashenville's legendary past. Intrigued by the tales of triumph over darkness, she decided to explore the town and document its unique history. Emily's arrival sparked a mix of curiosity and apprehension among the townspeople. The elders, including Samuel and Evelyn, welcomed her with cautious optimism, understanding the importance of preserving Ashenville's history. Emily, armed with her notepad and camera, delved into the archives, interviewed the townspeople, and immersed herself in the tales of the town's haunted past. As she explored the Mystic Studies Center, Emily became fascinated by the rituals and artifacts that had played a crucial role in Ashenville's salvation. She immersed herself in the studies, guided by the expertise of Samuel and Evelyn, and began to grasp the delicate dance between the supernatural and the mundane that defined the town. One evening, as Emily pored over ancient texts in the dimly lit Mystic Studies Center, Samuel approached her with a knowing smile. "Your fascination with Ashenville's past is commendable, Emily. But remember, the town's history is not just a collection of tales, it's a living tapestry woven by the choices of those who call this place home." Emily nodded, grateful for the guidance, but an unspoken question lingered in her eyes. Samuel, perceptive as ever, continued, "The centennial approaches, and with it, the echoes of the past may resurface. Stay vigilant, and be mindful of the thin veil that separates our world from the supernatural. Knowledge is a powerful tool, but respect for the unseen is equally crucial." Emily took those words to heart, recognizing the weight of responsibility that came with documenting the living history of Ashenville. As the centennial neared, she became increasingly attuned to the subtle shifts in the town's atmosphere. The mist that once seemed serene now carried a hint of tension, and shadows danced with an almost anticipatory energy. Unbeknownst to Emily, the descendants of the original guardians began to notice peculiar occurrences. Flickering lights, disembodied whispers, and glimpses of spectral figures became more frequent, signaling that the supernatural forces were awakening from their slumber. The town, while still vibrant and prosperous, braced itself for the impending challenge. The elders convened once again in the Carter Mansion, now a symbolic center of mystical guidance. Samuel, Evelyn, and the new generation of guardians gathered to assess the situation and fortify the town's defenses. The ancient vessel that once contained the malevolent force was inspected, and protective wards were reinforced. Emily, sensing the gravity of the situation, offered her assistance. "I may not have mystical abilities, but I can document and learn. If knowledge is a key to understanding, let me be a keeper of that knowledge." Evelyn regarded Emily with a thoughtful gaze before nodding in agreement. "Indeed, Emily, the written word can be a potent force. Your role in preserving Ashenville's history may prove more crucial than you realize. But remember, the veil between the mundane and the mystical is thin. Be vigilant, and tread carefully." As the centennial night approached, the atmosphere in Ashenville grew increasingly charged. The mist thickened, concealing the town in an otherworldly embrace. The townspeople, a blend of cautious optimism and quiet apprehension, awaited the inevitable clash between the forces that lurked in the shadows. On the eve of the centennial, the guardians gathered in the Mystic Studies Center, preparing for the ritual that had once sealed the malevolent force. Samuel, Emily, and the descendants of the original guardians donned ceremonial robes, their faces marked with a resolute determination. The ritual began, and the group recited incantations that echoed through the dimly lit room. Evelyn, her voice seasoned with a lifetime of arcane knowledge, led the proceedings. The mystic circle glowed with ethereal light, and the atmosphere became charged with an ancient energy. As the incantations reached their zenith, a sudden disruption rattled the room. The vessel containing the malevolent force, which had remained dormant for decades, pulsed with dark energy. The spectral figure of Ed Gein manifested, its twisted visage casting shadows on the walls. A collective gasp escaped the guardians as the malevolent force resisted the containment ritual. The room quivered with an unseen struggle, and the atmosphere became stifling. Emily, her heart pounding, watched as the elders confronted the spectral entity with a determination that transcended time. Evelyn, her voice unwavering, chanted an additional incantation, drawing upon the collective strength of the guardians. Samuel, the lines etched on his face reflecting a lifetime of battles, focused his will on containing the malevolent force. The descendants, their inherited abilities blending with the ancient ritual, stood resolute. In the midst of the struggle, Emily felt an inexplicable connection to the supernatural energies. A surge of inspiration welled within her, and without conscious thought, she began documenting the events unfolding before her. Her notepad filled with hastily scrawled notes, capturing the essence of the struggle between the living and the supernatural. As the ritual reached its crescendo, a blinding light enveloped the room. The spectral figure convulsed in agony, its malevolent energy forcibly drawn into the vessel. The ancient curse, subdued once more, retreated into the containment, leaving the room in silence. Exhausted but victorious, the guardians surveyed the Mystic Studies Center. The vessel, now radiating with a subdued glow, rested at the center of the room. Emily, her notepad filled with first-hand accounts of the supernatural struggle, looked around in awe at the power she had witnessed. As dawn broke over Ashenville, the mist that had shrouded the town began to dissipate. The atmosphere, once heavy with tension, lightened, and a sense of peace settled over the cobblestone streets. The guardians, weary but triumphant, emerged into the daylight, where the townspeople awaited news of the centennial night. Samuel, his eyes reflecting a mix of relief and wisdom, addressed the gathered crowd. Once again, Ashenville has faced the echoes of its haunted past and emerged victorious. The veil between our world and the supernatural is thin, and it is through our collective strength that we maintain the delicate balance. The townspeople, their trust in the guardians reaffirmed, celebrated the triumph over the ancient curse. Emily, her notepad now a cherished artifact of Ashenville's history, shared the accounts she had documented during the ritual, ensuring that the tale would be preserved for future generations. As the years passed, Emily continued to visit Ashenville, chronicling its ongoing journey with the supernatural. The town became a beacon of inspiration for those who sought to understand the delicate dance between the known and the unknown. The Mystic Studies Center flourished, and Ashenville's history became a source of pride, not fear. The tale of Ashenville, with its recurring centennial struggles, evolved into a saga of resilience, unity, and the unwavering commitment to confront the shadows within. The town, now recognized as a guardian of ancient wisdom, stood as a testament to the idea that the supernatural could be embraced, understood, and ultimately harnessed for the greater good. And so, as the mist gently caressed the cobblestone streets and the shadows danced in harmony with the sunlight, Ashenville embraced its living history. The legend, once a cautionary tale of terror, had transformed into an epic narrative of a town that had defied the odds, transcending the boundaries between the mundane and the mystical to shape its own destiny. The years rolled by in Ashenville, each passing decade contributing to the tapestry of the town's unique history. Emily Hartfield, the historian whose documentation had become a cherished part of Ashenville's archives, continued to visit periodically. Her fascination with the town's ongoing interaction with the supernatural never waned, and she found herself drawn to the stories of resilience and unity that defined Ashenville. As the decades passed, new generations of guardians emerged, inheriting the responsibilities and wisdom of their predecessors. The Mystic Studies Center expanded its curriculum, attracting students from far and wide who sought to understand the delicate balance between the known and the unknown. The town's reputation as a guardian of ancient wisdom grew, and Ashenville became a beacon for those who wished to explore the mysteries of the supernatural. Within the Mystic Studies Center, a new instructor took the helm, a descendant of Samuel and Evelyn. Professor Ilara Carter, named after an ancient star that held significance in Ashenville's mystical lore, possessed a deep understanding of the town's history and the responsibilities that came with safeguarding its delicate equilibrium. Professor Carter, a woman of both intellect and mystic prowess, guided a new generation of scholars through the arcane studies. Among her students was Alex Thompson, a young and inquisitive mind with a genuine passion for unraveling the mysteries that enshrouded Ashenville. As the centennial approached once again, Professor Carter and her students, including Alex, felt the subtle shifts in the town's atmosphere. The mist, which had become a symbol of unity and protection, seemed to thicken, carrying with it an undercurrent of ancient energies. Whispers of the past echoed through the cobblestone streets, stirring a mixture of anticipation and trepidation among the townspeople. In the Carter Mansion, now a focal point for mystical studies and ritual preparations, Professor Carter gathered the guardians to discuss the looming centennial. The vessel that contained the malevolent force, though dormant, radiated with a subdued energy, indicating that the ancient curse still lingered, awaiting the opportune moment to challenge Ashenville's resilience once more. Alex, eager to prove their worth as a guardian in training, voiced a question that lingered in the minds of many. Why does the malevolent force return every 100 years? What binds it to Ashenville, and is there a way to break free from this cyclical struggle? Professor Carter, her eyes reflecting the weight of ancestral knowledge, explained, the malevolent force is not merely a remnant of Ed Gein's darkness, it is a manifestation of the town's collective history. It is bound by ancient rituals and the unresolved traumas of the past. Breaking free from this cycle requires a profound understanding of Ashenville's mystic legacy and the willingness to confront the deepest shadows within. The Guardians, both seasoned and new, delved into the town's archives, uncovering forgotten manuscripts and deciphering cryptic prophecies. As they researched, Alex stumbled upon an obscure text that hinted at the possibility of severing the ties that bound the malevolent force to Ashenville. The answer, it seemed, lay in a series of forgotten rituals that could either break the curse or unleash unimaginable chaos. The discovery propelled the Guardians into a journey of both introspection and preparation. Professor Carter, drawing upon the wisdom passed down through the Carter lineage, guided the group through the ancient rituals. The preparations were meticulous, and the Guardians, knowing the stakes, embraced the weight of their responsibilities. As the centennial night approached, Ashenville braced itself for the inevitable clash between the supernatural and the mundane. The townspeople, aware of the ongoing preparations, stood united in their commitment to protect the town from the looming threat. The Mystic Studies Center buzzed with activity as Professor Carter and her students made final arrangements for the ritual that could reshape Ashenville's destiny. The eve of the centennial arrived, and the Guardians assembled in the Mystic Studies Center. The vessel, which contained the dormant malevolent force, rested at the center of the ritual circle. The atmosphere crackled with a palpable energy as the incantations began, each word carrying the weight of centuries-old knowledge. The ritual unfolded with a precision born of ancestral wisdom. Professor Carter, her voice resonating with authority, guided the group through the intricate series of incantations and gestures. Alex, fully immersed in the process, felt the ancient energies surge through the mystic circle, connecting the present with the unseen forces that defined Ashenville's past. As the final incantation reverberated through the room, the mystical energy reached a crescendo. The vessel containing the malevolent force pulsed with an otherworldly glow, indicating the forces within were awakening. The Guardians stood resolute, their collective will focused on the ritual's intended purpose, to sever the ties that bound Ashenville to the malevolent curse. Suddenly, an unexpected disruption rippled through the room. The spectral figure of Ed Gein, twisted and malevolent, materialized within the mystic circle. The Guardians, now faced with a direct confrontation, felt the weight of the ancient curse challenging their collective will. Professor Carter, undeterred, adjusted the incantations, introducing elements designed to weaken the spectral entity's resistance. The room seemed to twist and warp as the struggle between the living and the supernatural unfolded. The vessel, now aglow with a fierce intensity, became the focal point of the mystical battle. In the midst of the struggle, Alex felt a surge of determination. Drawing upon the newfound knowledge and the unity of purpose among the Guardians, they stepped forward to confront the spectral figure directly. The Guardians, their wills united, faced Ed Gein with a collective strength that transcended individual abilities. The spectral figure, sensing the unwavering resolve of the Guardians, convulsed in a final display of resistance. The room quivered as the ancient curse fought against the rituals that sought to sever its hold on Ashenville. The struggle reached a crescendo, and just as it seemed that chaos would prevail, a blinding light enveloped the Mystic Studies Center. The Guardians, shielded by the light, felt the supernatural energies settle into a harmonious equilibrium. The vessel, now dormant once more, emitted a soft glow, indicating that the malevolent force had been subdued. The room, once filled with the tension of the struggle, now seemed to exhale, as if relieved of a heavy burden. As the Guardians emerged into the dawn, the townspeople gathered outside the Mystic Studies Center, anxiously awaiting news of the centennial night. Professor Carter, her gaze reflecting a mixture of exhaustion and triumph, addressed the crowd. "We have faced the echoes of our haunted past and emerged victorious. The malevolent force has been subdued, and Ashenville stands united in its triumph over darkness." The townspeople, their fears alleviated, erupted into cheers of celebration. The mist that lingered in the woods seemed to dissipate, carrying with it the remnants of ancient energies. Ashenville, bathed in the soft glow of morning light, stood as a town reborn, liberated from the cyclical struggles that had defined its history. In the days that followed, Ashenville underwent a transformation. The mystical energies that had once lingered as a subtle undercurrent now seemed to harmonize with the mundane. The town, while rooted in its ancient traditions, embraced a newfound sense of freedom and potential. Professor Carter, having played a crucial role in reshaping Ashenville's destiny, took a step back from her active role as a guardian. She passed on the mantle to the next generation, including Alex, who had proven their mettle in the face of supernatural challenges. The Mystic Studies Center, now a symbol of Ashenville's resilience, continued to thrive under the guidance of the new Guardians. As the years passed, the town became a beacon for those who sought to understand the harmonious coexistence between the known and the unknown. Scholars, seekers, and individuals with an affinity for the mystical flocked to Ashenville, drawn by its unique history and the lessons learned from confronting ancient curses. Emily Hartfield, now a venerable figure herself, continued to document Ashenville's ongoing journey. Her writings, spanning decades, chronicled the town's evolution from a haunted enclave to a bastion of wisdom and resilience. The Mystic Studies Center became a renowned institution, attracting scholars from around the world who sought to understand the delicate dance between the living and the supernatural. The descendants of the original guardians, now entrusted with the town's legacy, passed down the stories of Ashenville from generation to generation. The tale of triumph over darkness, once a cautionary legend, became an epic saga of unity, resilience, and the ever-evolving nature of the mystical forces that surrounded the town. And so, as the sun set over Ashenville, casting long shadows that danced with the remnants of ancient energies, the town stood as a living testament to the idea that even the most entrenched curses could be broken through the collective strength of a united community. The legend of Ashenville, now embellished with a new chapter of liberation, continued to be passed down through the generations, a story of a town that had not only overcome its haunted history but had actively shaped its destiny, proving that the potential for transformation lay within the hearts of those who called it home.